15 years ago, Mark Dudbridge was one of the biggest names in the sport. A PDC World Championship finalist in 2005, a World Match Play finalist the year before that, a two-time quarter-finalist at the World Grand Prix, and a former Premier League player as well. However, in 2019, Mark Dudbridge finds himself making his first European Tour appearance since a 6-0 first-round defeat at the hands of Max Hopp in the Gibraltar Darts Trophy last summer. He also finds himself up against Gabriel Clemens, a man who is certainly coming into a bit of form of late, a man who secured his tour card at the first attempt at European Q School last year, and we'll be seeing a fair bit of him on the European Tour over the coming weeks as well, because he's also qualified for the German Darts Grand Prix and the German Open as well. Great to see Dudbridge back on stage, though. Maybe, just maybe, he can give us all a few reminders of what he was once very capable of. Is it too much to ask for, Paul Nicholson?
I don't think so. You know, you look at some of the stats he's put up the last few weeks, and when you qualify for 3 out of 4 European Tour events, that tells a story for me. He's gone through a lot in the last 15 years, but Gabriel Clemens is tough to beat.
Gabriel to throw first. Game on.
Using those dart flights that Dan has called the sexiest dart flights in the world. I'm not going to disagree.
Are they the ones that sort of look like the West Germany shirt from the 88 Euros?
Correct, the Rudi Voller flights.
Yeah.
100.
I did make reference to that when Dan tweeted about them a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, they're very subtle.
60.
But Flash is having a bit of a renaissance this year, and is it any wonder, because he's using kit that's very similar to what he used to use when he was playing really well. Now, in qualifying, he had a real standout victory in the first game against Jason Askey, where he averaged 106.
140.
He did regress a little bit in the next game against Dave Pallett, but he still averaged 98. And then 87 in the final against Matt Denon, who we saw last week. But ultimately, doing enough in qualifying
28.
is fine. It's what you do now that counts. And Clemens, I'm afraid, for Mark, is a bit of a jump in class.
139.
Had a fairly good start to the Pro Tour season as well, did Dudbridge. He made the last 16 of the very first events in Wigan, and the last 32 of the third one a couple of weeks later.
Clemens on double 16, that's a guide.
30.
Ooh, very close. Dudbridge is going to need something special. He's going to take this first leg. I think the one thing that Mark's been working on more than anything else is just trying to improve the fluidity of that follow through. It has been a bit jerky over the last few years. Now, there's nothing wrong with the follow through of Gabriel Clemens, but that's a blocker. What a dart that is! That's a worldie! An absolute worldie. He's blocked it with 2 darts, and then somehow it's gone in sideways. That was either brilliant or a complete and utter fluke. I'm going to go with genius, because I don't believe in bad luck at all.
I was going to say somewhere in between. But it's Clemens who draws first blood. Just going back to Dudbridge and his foray to the last 16 of that Pro Tour event at the very start of the campaign. He beat Ryan Searle in the last 32. He was beaten in the end by Michael van Gerwen by 6 legs to 3. But certainly made a fist of that one.
57.
And also got to the UK Open this year as well. So, yeah, there have been encouraging signs from Dudbridge at the start of this year. Certainly couldn't really have got much worse compared to the 2018 that he encountered.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. And I think for someone like Mark, who's had great success, of course, being a world master, and there are a lot of people out there who forget he's played Premier League. A lot of people.
Just the once, but yeah,
55.
More people haven't than have.
Yeah, one more than a lot of people have actually played. But yeah, Mark was a massive threat in the early noughties, winning that World Masters. And I remember the one game that catapulted him in everybody's living room, and it wasn't even on a stage. He beat Raymond van Barneveld in that World Masters, and everybody thought, who's Mark Dudbridge? And then he went on to win the whole thing. And we thought, well, obviously he's got something. And he moved to the PDC very soon after that, with great success.
Yeah, it was a seamless transition for him.
Yeah, multiple tour winner, and it's difficult to keep up that reputation sometimes when you've had so many troubles with injuries and things like that. But double 16 for Clemens, we forget that Mark's had injuries.
Yeah.
He's had shoulder issues. He's had pictures on social media of him on an operating table and things like that. But one dotted double. That double will be double top. Very good. Doesn't matter whether it goes in the middle of the corner, as long as it's in and called by the ref. It's 1-1.
Yeah, just silenced the crowd a little bit there as well. And it's worth noting with Dudbridge that when he got to the World Championship final and the World Matchplay final, he had the misfortune, I suppose, of coming up against Phil Taylor on both occasions.
I think a lot of people did round then. It cost a lot of people a lot of money.
59.
Just a word of warning for Dudbridge. I know he can't hear us, but the last thing he wants to do is go against this crowd with this opponent, because Clemens, over the last year and a bit, has become very popular, not just amongst the fans, but amongst the players and everybody in the back, because he's like a giant teddy bear. He's just lovely to be around.
93.
He's like a German hen door.
He's a very talented guy to have around as well. He reached his second Pro Tour final earlier this year. Lost to Gerwin Price in that final in Barnsley. That was the weekend he qualified for this tournament. He also made the final of one of the Players' Championship events last year as well, but lost to Gary Anderson 6-5, having led 4-1 and 5-4 against the two-time world champion.
I think the word that gets
98.
whispered around about Gabriel is consistency. And looking at Mark's statistics in qualifying, he went from a huge average and regressed through the 3 games, but it tells a story with Clemens' games, because he averaged 102 in both against Christian Bunce and Darius Labanauskas. So consistency is his game, and he had to go to 16s there because the 60 was blocked. Can Dudbridge steal the lead?
Well, not at this visit, he can't.
24. Gabriel requires
64, so 2 singles to leave double 16, or that to leave double 8. It's inviting.
48.
He's had some bother down there, hasn't he?
Required 85.
He's had that wonder dart in the first leg, but since and around then, he's had some trouble. Bullseye.
60.
Ooh, and he shook it.
Gabriel requires 16.
No more misses, Gabriel. Can't put a lead flash back in.
Now this, you feel, has to go, and it does. And Clemens dodges a bullet there, you might say.
What was that?
Well, they made an appearance. I don't know where they... Well, the masks have suddenly appeared. I think they've been there all evening, obviously, but the masks have suddenly appeared, and they first came to light in the previous match.
Are we sure they're masks? They might not be masks.
I'd like to think so, but you never know. You just can never tell sometimes.
It looks like a zombie bunny. Something from a very frightening Halloween cartoon.
85.
Oh, there we go.
There we are.
There's the normality. Well, supposed normality. Nothing normal about the Euro Tour. Just
Yeah, take it as it is.
phenomenal. Gets even better tomorrow when there's twice as many people in here.
Just go back to your point about Clemens' consistency as well, though. He seems to have found a degree of consistency on the Pro Tour, as Dudbridge finds consistency with that treble 20 bet as well, to leave himself at a 160 But his European Tour record
83.
doesn't make for
160.
very pleasant reading at all. We'll just delve into that in a moment. We'll just see what Dudbridge can do here.
Good switch.
97.
That'll do.
Yeah, he's okay here.
He's got to be crafty here, Clemens. You might go 18s. See, 233, Rob.
61.
Single 20, 18, 25, 63 to leave 170. You've got to play the odds. Single 16 for double for 2-2. That's very good.
Yeah.
Great conversion.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to make contingency plans in advance in case you get the opportunity.
I know he wasn't going to get a shot, but the point is to constantly leave yourself with an opportunity. Now, I mentioned this last week with Dan Dawson, that Michael van Gerwen was accused of being somewhat disrespectful for constantly leaving 170 in a Premier League match. That's the way it is sometimes. You've got to constantly leave a shot, and 170 is, I don't say better than 171 or 173, and it is easier to hit than 161.
60.
But if you leave yourself outside the finishing zone, you can't do anything with it. So give yourself a plan B if you can't get a big treble. We were talking about Gabriel's consistency on the tour.
Yeah, it's given everything he's done on the Pro Tour domestically or in the UK. I mean, okay, he didn't make his European Tour debut until 3 years ago.
140.
Lost to Johnny Clayton
Singlefingen, wasn't it?
it was at the European Darts Grand Prix, so yeah, it would have been Singlefingen. But that was after his, well, only what was his third
49.
qualifying campaign. So he quickly made strides in that respect. But he's only won 1 of 7 matches on the European Tour since then, or in his entirety.
13.
Is that right?
Yeah, he had 3 first-round defeats last year. His solitary win was in the opening round in Leverkusen at the very start of 2018, where he beat Thomas Junghans.
85.
Lost to Mervyn King, but he's had first-round defeats in every other one he's played, which is, I was surprised. I mean, I had to double-check that.
I'm flabbergasted, Rob.
And yeah,
97.
but it is surprising, given he's made Pro Tour finals on 2 occasions now, but his European record needs improving.
Well, one thing that is improving is Mark Dudbridge, and it's 5-5 for a break of throw, and that was a bit lobby. That was almost a throwing home as opposed to a well-structured throw. 133 is a possibility. It is now. This will be magic.
117.
8 misses again.
Mark, you require 10.
Having executed that very difficult one at the very start of the match, that's a long way inside.
No score.
Well, Dudbridge is very lucky there. He threw that last dart away. That could have gone anywhere. But it might be academic. 8. Fresh target. And maybe he needed that fresh target because he's probably sick of the sight of 16s and 8s. But he'll be loving the sight of 4 as Clemens tries to get that elusive win. Yeah, I remember my first year on tour, Rob, 2009, and it was 10 years ago this month. I remember 2009 for many, many reasons, but one of the reasons I remember it
43.
is that I could not get Mark Dudbridge away from me. It seemed like I was playing him every week, and I was, sorry Mark, sick of the sight of him, and I couldn't beat him.
140.
There was one Saturday in Barnsley, June of 2009, really kicked my behind, and I said, I've had enough of this.
100.
Ken had his measure after that.
Even on the drive home, you couldn't shake him off in the traffic either.
Who knows, eh?
Every time you turned the corner, there he was in your rear-view mirror.
Probably flashing me. In the car, that is. Well, we said that Gabriel's
41.
consistent, but that was anything but that visit. That was a bag of nails. Get the feeling that someone is
Good switch, that.
waiting to take a real hold on this match. It's there to be taken. And maybe that mental barrier for Gabriel Clemens is playing its part tonight. Great dart. That is only just missed.
Just
that was
outside.
A great effort.
92.
Well, we have seen the 1-3-2. Check out Ricky Evans did it earlier, 2 bullseye, and the double 16. He had a 1-6-7 as well in his win over Robert Thornton. One of the highlights of the afternoon session.
Well, Gabriel's left another bogey number. But it's academic. That word I used in the previous leg is very apt right now. 3-3. And holds of throw are pretty standard. Breaks of throw are at a premium. And he used to be, everybody still calls him Gaga. He had that huge, well, how did Dan Dawson put it? It wasn't a dart shirt, it was a dart moo-moo. But he had an emblazoned Gaga on the back. It was very leery. But he's gone to the plain black shirt with German Giant on it. And I'm all for it. And the cuddly Giant is scoring like a Trojan in this leg.
140.
Well, look at Dudbridge giving it some as well. And I know for a fact that Mark likes to play a few tricks. If this gets a bit close, just watch his lips. He's a bit crafty, as Dudbridge. He's from the old school.
Well, this leg may be beyond him now.
61.
Good save.
Good save, but Clemens on 36. Still can't take anything for granted, though.
Fantastic guide that from Clemens. We would have loved it to go in, but the booby prize was that fabulous wall of a dart to just batter it into. And he is 4-3 to the good. This, I think, is going all the way.
Well, this is the all-important 8th leg. When it goes with the throw, leg after leg, it gets to the 8th leg, it's pivotal now, because obviously if Clemens breaks here, he'll be throwing first for the match.
Yeah, best leg of the match there.
And if Dudbridge holds, it effectively puts the pressure back onto the shoulders of Clemens as we enter the 9th leg. So it's getting to that stage now where we start to ask who will blink first.
I used the word a little earlier in the season at the UK Open about some performance, and I've remembered this word a lot. But this performance from Dudbridge so far has been very plucky. Just sticking with Clemens, not overpowering him at all, but always just sticking around and making things awkward for him.
Sometimes it's better to be the hunter rather than the hunted, Paul.
Yep.
You can almost dictate your own fate, really, and manage things a little bit better, yeah. But it is a dangerous game if you do that, because obviously sooner or later you do have to make your move, and you do have to attack.
You do. Oh, that little blink tells the story. You needed a treble there, and Clemens may have that break opportunity here. Look at the ball. That'll have to do. Doesn't need 15 reds for this. He needs 1 red. Doesn't get the red.
Or he could go the Van Gerwen way. Treble 19, bull and top, as was the case just the other day.
Yeah, that was rather special. So Dudbridge gets a red. It's the wrong one. But there's no guarantee that this 96 is going. It's not, so Dudbridge does get a chance. This, like you say, Rob, this is very important for this stage of the game.
Well, he's still got a chance, but he hasn't got a chance anymore.
He'll be livid that he's missed the single 18. He didn't give himself the easy opportunity of another single and bull. Hasn't been able to leave a double. You've got to think that Clemens is going to take the opportunity. Yeah,
from 86 you'd expect better, but Gabriel Clemens a long way off with those first two. Double 10 instead, and Dudbridge does breathe again. He does live to fight another day in this leg.
Well, they looked edgy, didn't it? Didn't look assured. And this could be assured. That is a beautiful double 16. That's as good as the previous darts from Clemens were bad, because none of those shots were really that close to their intended targets.
And now there's pressure on Clemens here. I think the pressure is greater on Clemens now than it is on Dudbridge, although you wouldn't know it because Clemens has kicked off with a ton 40. A very left-hand sided ton 40 as well.
I'm not so sure how he gets those darts in the 60 segments sometimes. The tapering on the end of the barrel into the point, it's almost as if the point and the barrel are one. Very much like Colin Lloyd's old darts. They're actually made as one piece of tungsten. And because it's smooth, it doesn't have any barriers. It can get really, really close to the next point. But is Dudbridge kicking now?
121.
Well, 140 and a 121. Not quite in pole position yet.
Well, thinking versus Germany, it's a bit like Sebastian Vettel versus Lewis Hamilton. Who's going to get pole position?
Jostling at the first corner.
60.
Dudbridge can't find his overtaking manoeuvre there, though. And Clemens still has him in his rearview mirror.
Well, it's a bit like Monaco, this, isn't it? The impossible chance to overtake. And nobody can break anybody here. It might well be 11 holes a throw. Or is there one more twist in the tail? You would kill for another 60. Oh, that's brilliant from Dudbridge. Now Clemens has to get the 158.
And now the pressure really is on Gabriel Clemens. And Dudbridge has to just compose himself now for potentially 3 very important darts. It might only be one, and it is only one. And Mark Dudbridge times that to absolute perfection. Finds that all-important elusive break in leg 9, and it means he's throwing first for the match.
I have to agree, Rob. I think the timing of that leg from Dudbridge was Swiss quartz. Absolutely phenomenal.
And it all stems from that ability to just stay in touch in leg 8 as well. Leg 8 is all, when it goes with the throw, leg 8, you know, I don't care what happens either side of it, leg 8 is the important one.
I'm a leg 9 guy, because if it is 4-all, if you break there, you can hold. I think it's the perfect time, the perfect break time. It really is. And Dudbridge knows this. He's been around the block a few times. And how many times has he done that to opponents? It's really encouraging, not just for Mark, putting in this performance against a very hot player right now, but this is inspirational for some of the older guys on the tour to see, do you know what? You put in enough work, you can do this too. You can get yourself into 3 or 4 Euro tours and ignite the season. Mark was always really good at starting the season strong. That was his thing. He'd win early in the season, set up his year, that would relax him, and then he would be consistent the whole 12 months.
Well, whoever does come out on top in this one, and it could well be Dudbridge the way he's throwing now, will face Gerwyn Price.
Tasty.
In the second round tomorrow. Gerwyn Price, the number 8 seed this weekend.
Oh, how big is that treble 18 going to be to give himself a 2-darter? But it's in the hands of Dudbridge to get it done. He will have 1 darter tops. Gets in there, Flash, and he's done it. He's back on the stage with a skip and a jump and a defeat of Gabriel Clemens, and that has to be a little bit of an upset. He was the outsider going into that one, but he finished that like a lead violinist in an orchestra. What a crescendo from Flash. Phenomenal stuff. A 105 to finish it off. And he is going to be smiling all the way through the night, going towards tomorrow, where he will play number 8 seed Kessie Price. I am very much looking forward to that, and I hope you guys are too. Do not leave us, because we have Steve Beaton and Dimitri Vandenberg coming next. Arguably the game of the night.
Also Applaus für den German Giant Gabriel Clemens, der sich natürlich ein bisschen mehr vorgenommen hatte, aber ich weiß, für Mark Dudbridge ist das ein toller Erfolg. Hey. Mark,
yes.
Long time no see. These things are very important for you, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely important. I mean, these days it's very difficult. Players like Gabriel, amazing. I'm I'm trying to relive my youth. It's not happening. But I'm trying my best every game. You can be assured of that.
Gerwin Price is the next one. Lots of emotions will be on stage.
Another victim. Go in if you're listening. Bring your A game, kid.
That is cool. See you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Mark Dudbridge. Er freut sich, morgen auf Gerwin Price zu treffen. Er sagt, come on,